Murray rambled so much last time. So
Yeah.
Trying to keep it down.
Thank you.
All right, we will call this meeting to order. And the agenda is in front of you. If I can have a motion to accept or
Can I just make some
make
amendments,
some,
Chair?
yep,
I'll just point out that there's two 5.2s, so the very last 5.2, we would clarify as 5.4.
yep,
And then I'd look to move 5.1 to after the 5.3.
sure,
Thank you.
yep.
Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll take the hit. I'll be brief, I promise.
Okay, so
All right, anything,
first and I'll second.
all
Yeah.
right, perfect.
Okay.
We will consider that adopted. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest?
Nope.
Seeing none, we will go on. The minutes of September 22nd presented. If you have any comments or corrections or,
No, nothing.
great. And can I have a motion to accept those? Murray got that first, Christopher second.
turns. Yeah,
So that will be considered passed. So on to 5.2 Logan Monument Repair Update.
Thank you, Chair. So as the committee will call, this is coming from council to the Logan Monument just outside. Sorry, on Highway 23 North.
Yep.
We've had a crew look at it and essentially the way it's a granite monument and it's engraved in, but the engravings aren't deep and that's why it's looking like it's in distress.
Right.
So what we can do is we can paint it. And essentially what they do is they paint the whole front of it and then they scrape it away. So the paint would remain in the engravings and
Yeah.
that's how the letters
Yeah.
stay.
okay.
Now, once you do that, we're committing
To repainting.
to repainting it then. You know, it depends on the weather, but I'll say 3 to 6 years.
Yeah.
Is kind of where it come from. Now, we would like to run a test of that just because there was the concern that they are so shallow, the engravings, that it might not work. So I just wanted to provide the committee with an update that we're gonna look for the test unless the committee doesn't want us to touch it and just leave it with this kind of what I'll say natural patina and go from there. But our options are fairly limited at restoring it.
So would that be like something that the municipal workers would do, paint, or is that like an outside company?
This would be our one of our main contractors we use for all of our cemetery repair.
Okay, and do they have a ballpark price?
Not at this point.
Okay. Yeah, Murray.
Do we know, excuse me, I can't remember originally what was on that sign. Was it painted and then scraped, you think originally, Dan, that if it stood out bolder?
No, they told me they don't think it was ever painted. They just think it was a very shallow engraving done, and that's why it's not contrasting as clear.
Right.
And obviously it would have weathered and there'd be something.
Yeah.
So
So they think maybe even just a cleaning might help?
yeah, I think they're gonna go see what,
Okay.
like I said, they're gonna run a little bit of a test corner to see if we can. We do have someone else in our contracting group that cleans monuments strictly, and that may help. And then if that doesn't help, then we can look
Okay.
to the paint. But essentially, it was just an update that, you know, we're looking at it. The weather hasn't helped us and the contractor the
Yep.
last 2 weeks or so.
Well, and if it needs to stay till spring too, like if
I imagine.
Yeah.
they, from doing a test, if it's not gonna be good conditions for the test, then they might as well wait to.
Yeah. So as I said, it was just really a verbal update.
Awesome.
Those are kind of our two options we're looking at.
All right. All right, going down to 5.3, the proposed budget.
So attached, you'll see we've made a little bit of a proposed budget for the committee. You have 2022 as well, and then the actuals there. If there are any additions or changes, we're happy to hear them. I've reached out to the conference to get a rough idea of what it would cost, and I believe it's in London is where they're signing it for this year, so it's pretty close. We've added some budget for that. Otherwise, I think the committee's requested the music in the park, and we've talked a bit about signage and marketing repairs, whether it's that brochure or something else.
Oh, that looks good to me.
Mhm.
Did I take that as a motion, Murray?
Yes, I will.
I take that as a
Sorry.
second, Christopher.
I will.
Yes. Well, unless he yells no, we'll assume Christopher's a yay.
And I will excuse myself.
Perfect. Thank you. Right, moving down to first 5.3.
Yes, thanks. So I only have a couple.
Oh, no, that was 5.3, sorry, 5.4.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh,
Second 5.3.
No problem.
Yeah.
I have only a couple of updates. Number one, I want to mention that Hannah Can made a good contact with the archives. When we were getting prepared for the municipal open house,
Mhm.
and you'll see that we've got some nice displays in the two-sided display panels coming in. And I think we're gonna work with the archives to do rotating displays based on West Perth
Yep.
history, which I think is a really great way to continue to celebrate the history. As we've gone through the open house and as we had the business mixer here and we've had the municipal people in to visit us, everyone immediately recognizes the value of celebrating our history. And we want to make sure we use that space. The other thing that Hannah talked to the archives about is we are trying to line up with them about a student. And the concept being that the archives hire students and they have the research tools all available to them. And I'd like to get research done on the plaques, get an inventory of plaques in the municipality. So we have a plan, and we'd like to get research done on lost villages.
Yeah.
And we've managed to do a little bit of the work. For example, we have the wording kind of sketched out for what we'll put on the Motherwell wall. And you know, it's a trick about how much wording do you put
Yeah.
on a little display
Yeah.
plaque. We haven't really set what the standard throughout the office is going to
Right.
be, but we'll work on what that's going to be. And I think we can do some of that ourselves, but there's more research on the background and making sure it's historically accurate. That we hope that we can get access to an archives to. And then the final thing I want to ask you about today, mention to you today, is that we're working on getting the fourth poppy plaque. And I may have mentioned this to you in the past about the poppy plaque. And I want to talk to you about, I'll show you what the poppy plaque looks like. I have it here. So the
Remember
poppy,
that discussion?
yeah, and I.
Might be able predated Murray.
Yeah, and I'd just like to show you what a poppy plaque looks like.
Because we have the three from Logan, Fullerton and Hibbert, but Mitchell didn't have a plaque because they have the cenotaph.
Yeah, so, right.
But then it
thanks.
looks like we only have the three
Mhm.
now that we're all together.
So the poppy plaques, and I'm sorry, we're not doing high tech today, but the poppy plaques are, they're, I can't zoom it down because of the way it came in the document, but the poppy plaques are, they say, they recognize they recognize what municipality, and then I'll just tell you what they say. They're wood. And so this is the Township of Logan poppy plaque that I'm looking at. It was a program in the 70s, I believe it was the 70s, dedicated to the memory of Logan citizens who made the supreme sacrifice for sovereign country. And then there's the 1914 to 1918 and the 1939 to 1945 World War I, World War II conflict casualties. And so this particular poppy plaque was done in 1967. It was done by the 1967 Council under the auspices of the Royal Canadian Legion. My proposal is that we have some leftover money in the Heritage and Culture Committee budget from 2022, and we have the names off the Mitchell cenotaph, and I have the board made. We chased down someone to make it. We got Matt Burns, our building inspector, to stain it so that it's fairly similar. It's not the same. And we found someone who can get the exact, this same sort of style
Mhm.
of plaque material is still available. and Corner Shop in Stratford can do it.
Oh,
for us.
good.
And so my proposal is that we replicate the plaques very similar in language, but that we make the bottom say that it's sponsored by the West Perth Heritage Committee.
Sounds great.
And we use some of our Heritage Committee budget. I think I'll have a look at what's left over. I think because we didn't send anyone to a conference this year, if the Heritage Committee, it's gonna fall out in surplus. I think we put it into something that goes.
Great idea.
So, and I like the idea of having the Heritage Committee have something that gets put in that display case that represents this significant year in our history.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if everyone's good with that, I'll proceed along that line. It's gonna be about, I think it's about $1,500 to make one of these plaques, but you
Yep.
can see there's individual brass names
Yes.
for each.
Yeah.
For each casualty and for each name, and I think that's a small price to pay.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jeff, I just had a question. Someone asked me a question when we had one of the open houses here.
Yeah.
That display, which everybody loves that, they were wondering, is there going to be glass shelves so there can be more at one time, more stuff there? I said, I didn't know, but I would ask.
Yeah, we'll probably set it up so that we can layer it.
Mhm.
The vision that we have for it right now is the crest, the 4 founding townships and the original West Perth crest. And we've got those in the one side, and then we just have to figure out how we layer in that side, and these poppy plaques will go on the other side. They're permanent. I think the poppy plaques are
Yeah.
permanent on the other side, and then we'll rotate things. So,
Something
yeah,
around.
I think we'll probably work in glass shelving. Once we figure out what the main thing is, what the main background is that we're working with and how high it is. So, yeah, I agree, and I think we want to layer it, and tons of history. We've had a few people come ahead and offer us historic things. And I think we're gonna see more and more of that, and it's a bit of a balance, like, and the first thing we need to do is find out whether it should go to the archives or the museum.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're currently displaying the original print from the 2005 Klein match, which actually was in North Perth and not in West Perth. We thought it was in West Perth. Mr. Van Herk thought it was in West Perth. His name is Bernie Van Herk. He's from Stratford. He really wanted to give it to West Perth. He wanted to give it to someone that would have it on display. And it's very difficult to say no, it's the original. And I went to Bernie's house to see him about this picture, and we literally took it off the wall, and I took it with me. Because he wanted it to go somewhere, and his family wasn't really that interested in having it. It's too big, almost too big
Right.
for a residential home.
Yep.
And so we're gonna display it here for a while. We'll probably talk to the archives about it. It probably should be in North Perth more so than here, but that's beside the point. I think it maybe goes to the archives or even the museum. I understand the museum has the poster on display, but not the actual original. So I just have to chase it. Yeah. And and I have to say, it's hard to say no to somebody when they have no other options. And we'll certainly go through the process of looking at whether, the archive should have it or the museum should have it, or whether we should have it. And we're gonna have to be more creative than we were in the past, because we don't have a lot of storage here.
No.
We can't be
No.
we can't just take everything.
Yeah.
So it has to meet certain criteria. We'll just have to think about how we manage that.
Yeah.
Over time. Yeah.
When you said about some of the archive stuff, did anyone get a hold of Margaret Sherbarth?
Oh, I have a Margaret Sherbar story. So,
Okay,
um,
because she loves that stuff. She would have
Yeah.
stuff scrolled away.
so I did go to see Margaret, and I haven't seen Margaret about 6 weeks ago. 4 or 6 weeks ago, and I got a tremendous schooling on Logan Township.
Mhm.
Very supportive and very lovely, but I did get a Logan Township talk, which I should get once every few months, at least once a year, to keep me refreshed. It was excellent. And so Margaret wanted us to have some tartan, and it's here. So she had some tartan, she had a tartan tie, a tartan a little bonnet, kind of hat, and so she had a few things like that she wanted us to have. And she had the original, one of the handmade flags and with the Logan crest on it.
Wow.
And we spent a lot, I had questions about the Logan crest. I wanted to know why the Logan crest had the heart on it with the spike through it. And so Margaret with an absolutely precise detail gave me that story, and it was great. And it's actually in the Logan book where I didn't know where to find it.
I didn't know that either.
And so the Logan crest has a heart with a spike through it, which goes back to the Hart Logan family crest, and it goes back to the 1300s in the Crusades. And there's a reason that they were delivering the heart to the Holy Land, and they were members of the Logan family, the Hart Logan family were caught and killed. And they didn't get the king's heart to the Holy Land. And Hart, and then Hart Logan was one of the, I'm not sure, Canada Company or Surveyor, I think Canada Company. And that's how Logan Township's name came to be. And they've kept that on the crest, and the spike and the heart makes sense when you know where it came from. So anyway, so yes, I've been to Margaret's house. She had a little box of things for me. We brought them, and we've got them on display now.
Great. I knew she'd have some stories for you.
Oh, it was great. It was really, really good. She's very sharp.
Oh, yes, for her age. Fantastic.
And she pointed out to me that, I know we're broadcasting, I think it has to be said that, she started out by telling me her and her husband, she was the, clerk treasurer, and her husband was the deputy clerk treasurer. They operated out of their house.
Yes.
And
Back in the 10th
she often
concession.
had to remind him that he was the deputy. This is gonna be a fun visit, because she started out with that, but she wanted to make sure I knew who she was. And I thought it was great. It was just great. It was a great visit. It was very kind of refreshing. So
Thank you.
That's funny.
yeah, it was perfect.
Yes,
So just get the motion to confirm that the Heritage Committee is okay to proceed using your meeting budget for
Sure.
this project.
Christopher, Murray, and moved.
It's my turn.
Yeah,
Yes.
And if there's any other questions, I can try to answer them. It's been a flurry.
do you need a motion for the archive and student discussion? Okay.
No, I think we're just taking direction, and
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to pursue.
Yeah.
Keep our heritage projects moving, and I will mention.
Yeah, that
there
would
was
be
a
great.
Request last meeting about ensuring we have a process for future heritage reviews on the facades, and
Yeah.
I'll work on getting a process in place, more rigid, structured process.
Perfect. All right. Meeting schedule. On the back yet.
I can
Would you like to?
give you a little bit of background.
Yeah.
It's really just based on the terms of reference for the Heritage and Culture Committee. We've just taken the dates that were selected and
Yep.
then plugged it in for the 2022.
Those are the
schedule.
dates.
So if the committee is okay to proceed with these dates, or if you think, I know with the summer concerts, there might be a bit of planning involved, but the chair can always call a
Yeah.
meeting if you think.
Yeah. Well, and we did so without an official meeting, because last year we had the budget and just did it, so.
It was just
Now
kind of.
Murray's a concert promoter, we can,
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank goodness for Dustin Smith, because
Yeah.
he's the one that
Yeah,
did
he did great.
99% of it. And then there's that young lady, Trish, also.
And I will mention, we're working with BIA to provide, put some extra money in the BIA budget as well, to have resources to supply help for events. So that Trish keeps the BIA running on 7 to 10 hours a week, and there's lots of work, but we get to the point where we want to do an event, whether it be the event, downtown event that's coming this weekend. And by doing that, Trish, we're gonna put extra money in the budget, so when we have an event like that, we can reach out and grab a couple of other staff, and BIA can pay their wages so that it's not so heavily reliant on volunteers, because there's a lot of work and getting set up and taken down, and Trish is just one person. So-
Yes,
So we're trying to.
but she was very helpful.
Trying to make those events run a little smoother with just the ability to put a little bit of extra staff help in.
That would be great.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
as the guy who got stuck with the tasks, right?
Which now it's not a big deal, but the
Robert,
first time I didn't. have a
Robert,
clue what I was- Where you get to go, Jeff?
Yeah. I know.
I was just, oh,
And we want to support those, and there's a change of volunteerism in the community, you know, I think we all see it happen that people want to rely on. We've got to have staff do that, because it used to be volunteers that did these things, and it's fine to move into that space. Because these are really important community events, you know how important that
Oh,
was, so we got to
it was so
prioritize.
well
Yeah.
received, kept saying, when are you having the next one?
So we just prioritize them and we do them and we provide that bit of support to make sure they go.
Excellent.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So I've just confirmed with the deputy clerk. We're off by 2 days as presented. So it is the Thursday, not the Tuesday. So we're 26th of January, 27th of April, 28th of September, and 30th of November.
Sorry, my apologies.
That's okay.
I think
Those might be this
I
year's
think it is-
days.
working on council dates. When I
Yes.
was working on your dates,
No, it's all
I
good.
ended up on Tuesday. But I will make sure that they are the Thursdays.
Yes,
and,
so they are the
make
Thursdays.
sure that the
Perfect.
minutes reflect the correct date.
Yeah, and this day and time generally still works for me.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yep.
Yes,
Do you want a motion? I forget who got it. Murray's turn.
okay.
Christopher's already nodded, so we'll have that passed. Any correspondence from the clerk's office?
Let's see.
Anything you'd like to announce, Christopher?
Not to me.
Any birth announcements or anything? All right.
Mr. Chair, I did.
Yes.
want to just mention that with the new term, the application. We
Yes.
received applications from current members.
Yep.
And then an update as well. We did receive applications from 2 more.
Perfect.
So we
great.
should have a full committee provided that council confirms those appointments, but.
Okay.
We've had.
So do we have to do anything special? We have our applications in, we just
Yeah,
show
your
up in January?
No, your applications are in. Council will have a striking committee, which will go through and look at all of the volunteers. There's counselors and there's also residents, resident volunteers, and try to place, for the counselors, it's a matter of the priorities that they picked and their availability, and the resident ones applied for specifics. And then there'll be a report come back to council for striking those committees.
Okay, and that's probably
And
before
you'll receive
January?
Notice, yeah.
Okay.
And we'll get that done.
All right, anything else then?
Me.
Last
No.
call? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So
Christopher
moved.
has hands. Murray's second, it's unanimous.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
We got it.
Thank you.
Jeff out